session. I'll call the order at 7:02 p.m. This is the Wednesday, May 4th, 2016 Finance Committee meeting. On the agenda for tonight, we have 3 reserve fund transfers. We are supposed to have the town clerk, tax collector, treasurer coming in for discussion. Quick discussion about the annual town meeting presentation handout, and then we're going to rehash the April 20th, 2016 Finance Committee meeting. So first on the agenda is reserve fund transfer. The first one we have on the agenda is for computer support, which is the town accountant, Ms. Gabri. Ms. Gabri, if you want to come on up, please. How are you?
Fine. And you guys?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Marian's hungry. I get it. It's okay. Just had a sandwich myself. So I'm before you tonight because I realized that I asked for a reserve fund transfer last year for both the collector and the benefits and payroll manager. But due to scheduling conflicts, either between Munis or the treasurer, they could never get the training scheduled. So she went this year, and now I'm asking for a reserve fund transfer again. So the old money closed to free cash. So it's just a
All right, so it's just it's a lapse in the time,
yes.
just the timing.
Yes.
Okay. And this is just for training, straight out training for
Training
Munis?
collected.
Okay, makes sense. Any questions?
Nope.
No? Okay. All right, if it wills the committee, then I'll take a motion to approve reserve fund transfer, financial system computer support in the amount of $1,428.
Marianne, you're going to have to do this because I can't read it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a reserve fund transfer in the amount of $1,428. The account named Financial System Computer Support, account ending in 01136.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, excellent, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair says aye. Nothing unanimous. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you.
I'll leave a copy of these boxes.
Okay, up next is reserve fund transfer for the police department in the amount of $12,872. To pay for radio consultant to develop a solution for an overall police radio system problem. Chief Murray is here, but we have had conversations, I have had conversations with him before, and we've discussed this in the past. We haven't acted on it yet because the budget was not identified down to the exact account. So I talked to the town accountant. She gave me account number 0120, sorry, can't read my own writing, 53400, which has a current balance of $886.69 as of April 29th.
And the amount of the transfer is, I'm sorry?
$12,872. I don't have any questions, given our previous discussions. If there's any questions from the committee, no? Okay. Let me just get caught up on my notes here. All right. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the reserve fund transfer in the amount of $12,872. The account name Police Department, account ending in 01210.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The chair says aye. Okay, and the last one we have, this was a new reserve fund transfer that came during the week last week. So this is from the benefits payroll manager, Mr. Johnston. You want to come on up?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to let Mary Ann borrow it.
Oh, she has one.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
How are you this evening?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks for coming. So you're looking for $12,000 for the FICA Medicare expense account?
I am.
Okay, you want to just give us a quick overview? We have the memo attached.
You have the memo?
Just
So
for everyone at
so the
home.
memo provides a brief summary. Included with the memo is a copy of the reserve fund transfer request, a copy of analysis of the Medicare budget for the fiscal year 16, and a copy of the most recent budget report from the accountant for the general ledger through April of this year. So there are a couple of reasons for this request. One, we continue to have a significant number of police road details which add to the Medicare expense. They just can't be programmed. It just is. But in addition, looking at the prior year expenses, it appears that the Medicare budget has never been adjusted for increases in actual expenses for the prior fiscal years. So when I was before you last year for a similar transfer, it was recognized after the budget was prepared around this time of the year. It was decided not to do anything at the annual town meeting to increase the line and not take any action at the fall town meeting to handle it with the reserve fund transfer, but the fiscal, if needed. The fiscal 17 budget projection has been adjusted to provide for projected expenses based on the past actuals. So we did an average of the previous 5 years' actuals to come up with an estimate for fiscal 17. So the hope is I won't be in front of you in a year, and if I am, it'll be for significantly less money.
Okay. Understandable.
I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
It's straightforward. We've had this, I think, every year for the last few years. Any questions from the committee?
I just have a question about why there was a decision not to bring it forward in October to town meeting when usually needed budget supplements are done at fall town
I
meeting.
can't say that it was a conscious decision to say we're not going to do it. There was some discussion about it, and it never got addressed.
Okay.
You know, there was an awareness. There was a level of awareness, but we knew that we could address it with a reserve fund transfer if we needed to again, and we wanted to make sure that it was included in the actual budget process so that it could be vetted appropriately.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? There being none, if it wills the committee, I'll take a motion for approval, $12,000 for FICA Medicare expense.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amount of $12,000 to be transferred to account FICA Medicare expenses, account ending in 51740.
Second. Sorry, second.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. 3-0 unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you all.
And Lisa, can I give you the police one while you're here? Okay, that's all we have for reserve fund transfers this evening. Moving on in the budget, we have the town clerk, which I unfortunately put town clerk on the agenda. I apologize for that. Tax collector and the treasurer, Ms. Copeland. Come on up. How are you this evening?
Well, good. How are you? How's
Doing
everybody?
well.
Doing well,
Thank
you?
you. So you and I had talked, I think, 2 weeks ago, and we discussed having you come to, with your win of the treasurer seat, kind of come and just talk us through, give you a venue to kind of talk through what the plans were going forward.
Yep, so I also want to go back because we'd even talked before that, before the last meeting of the FinCom, and there were some comments that were made and discussion on the budget that, you know, I wasn't even elected at the point, or no previous conversations, so it was kind of in my opinion, it kind of caught me off guard because I
Understandable.
didn't anticipate coming forward to talk about a position I may or may not have had at the time. So that's really bothering me that happened.
Okay,
So-
I'm gonna ask if we can discuss that at the next agenda item, if that's okay.
Okay.
It's just the budget
Yeah, no,
comments. Okay.
that's fine.
Thank
I
you.
just, so now that I have been elected, and I did have some ground rules, vision, if you will, of how I would like to move forward with the office of the treasurer, and really the three offices that I'm holding now, whether it's combined or whatever is the best for the town, for the staff in the town hall. And I try to be careful about using different words as elected or appointed. Finance department, there's a lot of trigger words. One trigger word is assistant treasurer, and I never indicated that I was going to plan to hire an assistant treasurer upon being elected. So
Right.
an assistant treasurer was never in my vocabulary. So I have indicated the possibility of a finance clerk. And that's different, a finance clerk. And again, it's difficult to talk about this because this is very much out of the proper channel that the process goes through.
Understandable.
There's the personnel board, there's the union, there's a lot of boards and committees and groups that I need to do diligence to make sure that this is being properly followed, because in the past, things have gone the right way, the wrong way, or
Okay.
it's not just, so I don't want to be vague, but at the same time, it's not my solemn dotted line and I'm
Right.
signing off on this. So
Yeah,
I just
and
want to make that clear as
there's a lot that
well.
can happen between,
There's a lot that can happen, and
thought
May
and
9th
implementation.
is town meeting. We know, you can talk about things so much and put
Yeah.
things on a warrant, and what ends up happening that night happens that night.
So
So-
just regarding timing, can I ask you a question? So the treasurer, so there's two pieces that I'm just curious about.
Yep.
There's the treasurer's salary, which is in the article for the elected officials, and then there's also the treasurer budget itself, which, I guess, what are do you have any plans to make any changes to those?
So I don't, with the budget, no, because the
Okay.
budget is towards services and supplies for the treasurer's office, for the,
Correct.
the things that have to be done
Mhm.
with the office, whether it's the banks or any of the fees. So that's the treasurer, the budget, as far as supplies and so forth. The salary, I feel should be adjusted. I don't have that dollar figure tonight, and I wish I did, but, I've been going over
We have a couple
the
of days,
first.
don't worry about it.
The other, yeah, I have a couple hours. The first thing is, most importantly, is the only thing I definitely reached out and made a verification with DOR when I ran for the position was, is it in fact legal that I run for all three positions and hold all three elected positions for the town? The answer is yes. That was legal. Town meeting decided they are to be elected positions. We do not have a bylaw stating that you can't hold all the positions. So if some may call it a loophole, but it's a fact, and I did follow that. I did not investigate, for lack of better words, the salary aspect and any of the personnel perspectives, because that would have been very arrogant of me to do that and not being even in the position. And kind of a waste of time, taking my time away from, my current positions at the time.
Yeah.
So now that I am elected, I have gone through the process of, all right, now, through DOR, do I receive I didn't think I would even receive all the salaries, but I do. That's like line number one. So it's like, all right, well, that's, that makes me a hypocrite saying I'm trying to save money, but now this entire amount, but is there a way to adjust that? And do we have this money that is put aside, and it's not as an assistant treasurer, but as a finance clerk? Because there are several departments here that we could utilize an extra person for multiple, whether it's an accounting, clerk, collector, treasurer, things, human resources, assessors, anybody on the first floor. Things plateau, they come, one department's busier than the other. We have possible changes coming the next few years just because of people meeting their invested time. So, and that's, again, that's speaking out of turn because I haven't gone through speaking to the other boards and committees.
Okay.
But they're aware. I've contacted everybody. I have spoken with the union because I'm not going to overstep anybody, not going to disrespect anybody and say that I can come around and do what I want because I'm elected. I don't feel that way. It needs to be followed the right way. But there is a staffing that we need to cover. There are some things that we need to, in getting things upgraded and moving along, we need more help because this is a busy town hall. We have a lot of people coming in daily, weekly, or quarterly. But it's a busy town hall. People want, and they like that. It's a busy clerk's office. We're open, we're available. We have the information they need, regardless of what it is. And that works for our town. It's a very good thing, and we need to keep up with it. And as much as I try to automate and get more things online, that is a great percentage of the town for people that just want to be able to sit at their computer. But it's still a town hall. You still have to be able to be here for people. And it needs to be looked at and addressed. So
Okay.
I wish I had that dollar figure, and I really even spent up to the past hour trying to say, all right, let me give a number, but
Well, so
I don't-
dollar figure aside, let me just, I guess from my perspective on the finance committee is, whatever you're gonna reduce the treasurer's salary in, I think it's Article 2 with the elected official salaries. From the omnibus budget perspective, you're still looking to have that full budget in place for the treasurer's office. Or would you be looking to reduce that also?
I can't, I want to reduce it. I
Okay.
am, yeah. I do, I just don't know.
'Cause
If you're looking for it,
From my like listening to you, sound like you have plans, but you're not sure exactly what those are, so.
yeah, I have to execute them.
Yeah.
I have to, and again, I have to make sure it's followed. And if I can't do it on Tuesday, I want to be able to have it in better order for October.
Okay,
And that's when I have to work out.
sure. Pauline?
I did not bring my budget materials with me, and even if I did, I couldn't read them, but the treasurer's budget, if I recall correctly, does not include the treasurer's salary in the omnibus, because then it would be double.
No, there is a
double.
line for the treasurer's salary.
So the salary is actually established at Article 2, and then,
They're tied, but they're kind of separate, if you
Yeah,
will,
but
because it's a bottom line budgeting.
right, but that's why I was wondering what the budget line, or the actual treasurer's budget includes for a salary for the treasurer, as opposed to the one in Article 2.
I think it's
Yeah, I'm not-
67,000,
yeah,
I think is the treasurer's salary.
The salary is included in the omnibus,
Yep.
Yeah.
and it's also included in Article 2. This thought never occurred to me before, but is that being voted twice?
No, because believe if.
It's being established on
correct me
Article
if
2.
Lisa, please.
Well, could I finish what I was saying?
Sure.
Because we may not have a question here.
Okay.
It's being established in Article 2 and then approved in the omnibus. It would be the way I
That's the way
would,
I would read it.
read it, yeah,
Is that a
okay.
correct interpretation?
That's the way I
Article 2
would
just
read it,
sets
too.
what the personal salaries
Yeah,
are, but
same
then
for-
the omnibus
All
sets
right.
the
All
funding
of
for
them.
that.
which
And I
explains,
would say Susan's right, in October, once there is a plan, because by then, I think that we'll know what the salary should be based on comparables and go through the whole personnel role and all that. Then we go back to town meeting and reset the salary, because that salary's over a year. That doesn't mean she has to
Right.
start getting the salary July 1st, the full amount. She can
Okay.
get whatever, and then, as long as at the end of the year, it matches what's approved in the final run, so. And then the budget could be adjusted as well, and that is, like Susan said, that is sort of the goal that that budget could, I see that it can be reduced by how much I don't know yet. So both, there would be an article to reduce the salary as well as, most likely as well as the budget as well.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay. Was that
It's good, thanks.
Any
Thank you.
Answers
No,
my
it's very
questions, or-
informative. Thank you.
All right.
I don't have any questions. Any other questions from the committee? No? Okay. Thank you for your time. Thanks for
No,
coming down.
thank you for giving the opportunity and
My pleasure.
clearing some things up.
Okay, moving on. So handout and presentation for the town meeting, which is Monday. So I haven't had a chance to really put anything together for this yet, but one of the things I do want to highlight is the town administrator and I were talking a couple weeks ago, or last week, and one of the things that he and I talked about including in our presentation is kind of a budgeting 101, explaining to town meeting how the omnibus budget and the raise articles impact the tax rate, and how there's the timing between, you know, the Q1 and Q2 are at the old rate, then we set the taxes, and just kind of lay out the process that, you know, what we approve in May actually sets the requirement for the tax rate come December, which is, you know, I mean, I've been on this committee for 7+ years, and I didn't learn that until like 3 years ago. So, you know, not everyone is aware of the process in that way. For the handout, I'm just going to focus, I primarily am going to put together just information on primarily the new positions that are being requested and what the impact is, and then kind of highlight those in the presentation itself and try and keep it very quick and to the point. Anything else?
Well, we don't have a draft to review, we don't have a draft to review.
Well, if there's anything that you have on your mind that you might want to put in there.
The decisions and votes that we took last week with respect to the final budget and the warrant, that will be included, at least in the presentation during the meeting
That will be
still.
included in the presentation. I haven't had a chance to put together the final
Mhm.
comparison budget of ours versus the Board of Selectmen. I did forward it on, and Ms. Gabri was kind enough to review it for me and found a few mistakes that I have to go back and fix. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Always good to have a second set of eyes. All right. All right, so moving on. So I want to rehash or kind of revisit the April 20th, 2016 meeting, which was our last meeting that we had. The first thing I want to talk about is at that meeting we discussed and we made a recommendation and vote to regarding the reclassifications in the DPW admin budget. And after that meeting, and honestly actually getting a decent night's sleep, I went back and I reread a reply back from the town administrator from my email that I had sent on the 20th, that it was out of our scope and jurisdiction, and he did highlight that the compensation plan, the personnel plan, was approved by town meeting last fall, and that all the proper steps were followed. And I will admit that I think that I let my emotions get the better of me for this one, given the frustrations I had on the personnel board myself, just around that study, to put that much time into it and have what is just kind of a very imperfect document or incomplete document. So at this time, I would like to ask the committee if there is any possibility, or anyone else who feels that same way, that we could adjust our recommendation at town meeting on the budget side by reestablishing the $10,000 that was removed from the DPW admin budget.
May I?
Sure.
Our discussion was not removing it from the budget as much as it was that the approval amount should be a separate warrant article because it's a contract revision.
And talking with the town administrator, personal service contracts are not included on the town meeting warrant, so therefore it would have to lie within the omnibus budget recommendation.
So we didn't vote to remove the funds. The funds are there.
My notes I had that we did. If we did not take an official vote, then I guess.
Well, we
it's
did
still
take an
open.
official vote. I made the motion, and the recommendation was against approval as a budget line item, as it needs to be approved as a separate warrant article. So what you're suggesting now is that needs to be revisited and returned, if you will, to the budget line item.
Yes. And that's my request. I've done all the talking. Please kibitz amongst yourselves.
I don't know, I don't know that that is a correct position. I'd like to have the chance and the opportunity to look at it before I recast a vote. I don't know. But
I can't
I'm
speak
just
to
one
something I'm
person.
not knowledgeable on.
we have another meeting before, oh no,
We
town
don't.
meeting
It's
is Monday.
This
Town
is
meeting
it.
is Monday. I
So-
had my dates wrong.
So, all right, so let me just further elaborate then a little bit more. So the compensation, the study by HRS was completed by the Personnel Board. It was approved by the Personnel Board. It did have a kind of, in addition to what was the job descriptions, the salaries, et cetera, there was also kind of the go-forward process. So it was around the reclassification process, et cetera. After that was approved during the, I guess, the budget process, the DPW admin, or DPW superintendent, I think it was the office clerk and the business manager, and the engineer were brought before the personnel board for reclassification. Basically, the DPW superintendent himself said it was primarily due to a lack of data points on the study itself, on the HRS study, to give an accurate portrayal of a DPW superintendent who oversees water, sewer, highway, it's like everything that his job encompasses. That process did go through the proper channels with the Personnel Board. It was also approved by the Board of Selectmen as their purview as the appointing authority, and therefore it was included in the omnibus budget request by the DPW administrator. So in my, it's plain, my request is that we, from our recommendations to town meeting, replace the 10,000 or in the recommendation for the omnibus budget. Because it won't be a separate warrant article.
I noticed that when I got the warrant. There are no changes.
So.
I'm not inclined to change my
Okay.
vote at this point. I
Fair
mean,
enough.
the two of you can do as you choose, I suppose, but town meeting can approve it or not approve it. We don't have to recommend it.
Comes down to just providing information.
I understand.
Okay.
I would be inclined to just not recommend it.
Stick with the vote of April
Stick with the vote.
2nd.
Okay, fair enough. That's the will of the committee, that's fine. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about regarding the April 20th meeting is actually the conduct of the meeting itself. So to do that, I do want to kind of bring everyone up to speed. So I had sent out an email to the committee on Sunday evening in which I did include an attachment that had some information. It wasn't in the body of the email because the bullet points didn't translate well into the DOS format that the online email has. So I'm going to read this just so everyone's up to date.
We have this in an email?
This is in an email.
I didn't see it either.
Okay. It was an attachment.
I didn't even see the email, but that's
Okay.
neither here nor there. I can't look now, so.
All right, after the meeting on April 20th, I emailed the town administrator our voted positions regarding the town meeting warrant. The replied email was angry in tone. The entire committee was copied on these emails. I took it upon myself to call the town administrator directly and discuss the email exchange and our reasoning. First, I explained that a lot of the miscommunication was due to the inability for the BOS and the Finance Committee to meet in joint session the night before. Discussion between the bodies would benefit each other's understandings of the decisions that were made. I detailed my understanding of the process regarding the warrant, and since it was voted and closed the evening before, this did not allow a FinCom budget to be printed on the warrant, which is why I did not take the time to complete one for submission. I explained that the no vote on the budget, though 95% in agreement, was to allow us to talk about the discrepancies on town meeting floor without being called hypocrites. And I'll just add, if anyone's been to town meeting and you vote a recommendation and you say boo about it, you do get called out on that. The discrepancies are the COLA, the patrolman, and the DPW admin. My primary focus of the conversation was to explain that our role and primary objective of town meeting is to provide information to allow town meeting to make educated decisions. On Friday, April 20th, the meeting video from the 20th was posted on the town website. I received a call around midday from the town administrator who was very angry. Both the town administrator and the assistant town administrator took exception to accusations and insinuations regarding the tone of the ATA, the ZBA stipend, and other comments by a member of the Finance Committee. These personal comments crossed the line of professionalism and were directed at him and the assistant town administrator. I agree the comments were inappropriate, and I apologized directly to both on the phone. On April 25th, I received an email from the DPW superintendent asking to talk about the reclassification process and the reduction on the budget. I asked him to wait to talk until I talked with the town administrator before discussing with him. On Tuesday, April 26th, I met briefly with the town administrator in person. We discussed town meeting in general, also the reclassification process. After personal thought regarding the reclassification discussing with the town administrator, I do agree that the committee overstepped our jurisdiction, and also confirmed that with the town administrator that the personal service contracts are generally not included on the town meeting warrant. On April 28th, I received an email from the town administrator wishing to address the committee, which will be covered on the agenda in this point here. I talked directly with the DPW superintendent on Friday, April 29th. I apologized for overstepping and told him I would discuss it at our next meeting, which we just have. Finally, after talking to the town administrator on April 22nd, back to the 22nd, I listened and watched the meeting myself. In my opinion, the meeting on the 20th was embarrassing and complete disservice to the town. I owe some responsibility for that. My request to reduce the DPW admin budget over the reclassification was born out of personal anger and frustration from my time on the Personnel Board, which was an additional burden of my time. I apologize to the committee, and on Wednesday we'll request town meeting recommend we adjust removing the reduction in DPW, which we have discussed that. In regards to the rest of the meeting, the discussion between one member and the chair was disrespectful at best. On numerous occasions, I attempted to redirect discussion to a professional, objective tone by asking to be objective, not accusatory. These requests were continually ignored. Allegations and insinuations were made by one member on the 20th that completely crossed the line. Making statements or accusations without concrete evidence is disrespectful. Simply saying it's fact does not make things factual. The town administrator and the assistant town administrator felt that their reputations and job performance were directly attacked by this member. The insinuation that the hiring of a patrolman was intended to increase the total number of hired this year was a grasp at best. As I said before, saying it's fact does not make it true. There was a substantial amount of bickering in the meeting. I admit my patience continued to wear thin over the course of the meeting, and it was evidenced in the meeting video. As chairman, it is my job to keep the meeting under control, and I failed to do that. The meeting on the 20th as a whole, in my opinion, an embarrassment on the committee and a black eye on our role for town meeting. I take pride in the fact that our format is very open for discussion, which was started by the previous chairman. However, I feel this has been abused and the detriment of our ability to be productive within the organization of the town. And with that, I would like to ask Mr. Pomprian to please come up. You've asked to address the committee.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Finance Committee, I echo your sentiments, and I thank you for the opportunity to address the Finance Committee in a public forum. And I'm here to address comments and inaccuracies made about the budget at the April 20th Public Finance Committee meeting. I'd like to address specifically 6 issues, and I'll be brief. I do agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that if the goal is to put forth the best information to town meeting, then that's what we need to do. And as you just alluded to, that is anything but what happened on the 20th with respect to these 6 areas. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for all of your work on the budget. We've worked well together for 6 years. And for the record of the current membership of the Finance Committee, you are the only member that has ever come to see me about any information, and my door is open, and all members very well know how to get information and come see me and make requests. That did not happen. If I had known that what was going to be discussed on April 20th, I would have been there. I can characterize April 20th at best, as you did, Mr. Chairman, as really a black eye for the town. With respect to the budget process, before I get to the 6 issues, the Finance Committee has always been involved in that process, and by statute, it is to make recommendations on financial matters. What I have observed over the last 18 months, however, and this is my opinion, is that the Finance Committee has drifted into areas of the Personnel Board, has drifted into areas of the administration, and has drifted into areas that are the purview of the Board of Selectmen. Furthermore, we did have a joint session on April 5th with everyone around the table where we discussed the budget. On the issue of COLA, there's no question that the COLA issue is alive and well and fair game for the debate at town meeting. I'm not going to talk about the COLA, as there were many different opinions, but it was vetted there. I will touch briefly upon the police matter, which we did talk about as well, and there were concerns raised about the sustainability of it, and the chief was present. However, at that joint meeting on April 5th, which is only 15 days prior to April 20th, a lot of the issues that were discussed on the April 20th meeting of the Finance Committee were never brought up, and many of those issues were already in the budget at that time. The budget process over the last 18 months, because of this behavior by the member that you identify, has become strained and disruptive at best. The meeting of April 20th, as a result of one of your members, consisted of untrue, uninformed information, personal attacks that can only be best characterized as a personal agenda against myself, the Board of Selectmen, department heads, and employees. It is frankly all uncalled for and unnecessary. It's inappropriate, professionally unacceptable, and frankly an insult to the integrity of the FinCom and the town. And I'll get into those items in a minute. We were not discussing on the 20th, many of the people weren't even there, we were not discussing, or you were not discussing financial matters, but matters of personal reputation and so forth. I understand more than anybody in over 15 years of public service that we can agree to disagree. Mr. Chairman, you and I have agreed to disagree over 6 years, sometimes heated. Ms. Conley, you and I have, when you served on the Board of Selectmen, the 3 years we worked in other capacities. We can agree to disagree on the merits of the issues, emphasis on the merits. But when we begin in a public forum to cast information that is not accurate, that there's been no effort to verify that accuracy, that has innuendo and intonation that this government is not transparent, that thing, and these are words from that meeting, not transparent, things are being hidden, the police chief is running an end around, and it goes on and on, that becomes destructive and counterproductive to what we're all trying to do, and is an insult to the people of this great town of Ayer. It is also not the first time that this has happened, and if there are not changes made, I have no faith that it will stop. The behavior is not acceptable, and frankly has been tolerated too long, and it has and continues to create a disruptive and hostile environment within the town government that is not necessary. I'm joined by many tonight who are deeply concerned about this behavior and find it to be counterproductive to the best interests of the town. On April 20th, in a public forum, public official, specifically Ms. Conley, implied that the government is not transparent, things are being hidden, people are being dishonest, the end rounds are being done on the budget, and basically implying that there's illegal behavior and actions, and by implication, That means myself, the department heads, the Board of Selectmen, town meeting, and frankly, the FinCom. That there's favoritism, that people were hired illegally, that actions put before town meeting and through the process were not correct or proper, and frankly, a revisitation of past issues that in some cases are multiple years in age. To the issues, Ms. Copeland touched upon as town treasurer, but at the meeting, the town treasurer, the election had not even occurred, and there was discussion about a proposal for an assistant treasurer position. Ms. Copeland's covered that. That was never discussed. And if there was to be, as she mentioned, it would either go through the union or the personnel board. Funding would need to be identified and in place. There was a lot of discussion, and this is a perennial theme of Ms. Conley, about the benefits in payroll manager. I want to clarify for the public that the position was created by the Board of Selectmen. The job description was approved by the Personnel Board and the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen approved a search committee. We advertised. We hired the most competent and qualified candidate. Yes, we did fund part of it by a reserve fund transfer, which is not illegal, is not improper. This body approved the RFT, as did the Board of Selectmen. And for the record, Article 4 of the Fall Town Meeting on October 27th, 2014, the town meeting approved a transfer of $50,000, $900, to make the budget whole. The people were aware of this, the people supported this, and this position is in place. The job position, which was approved by the Personnel Board and has been available for the public for almost 2 years, lists that the position shall serve as the backup to the treasurer. With the new treasurer in place, she made the policy decision that she wanted Mr. Johnston to be approved as the assistant treasurer in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 39A, and he is, and now is performing all assistant treasury functions. It was brought up again by Ms. Conley, questions about the union and so forth. The union is aware of that, and that is in place. Again, for the record and for the public, a transparent process, a public process, a process with the approval of town meeting. To the Department of Public Works Administration reclassification issue, and I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your attempt to reconsider it tonight and to make the effort to find out the information. I'm most concerned and saddened, however, that the majority of your membership have offered the public no substantive reason not to approve the reclassifications. I would like to correct Ms. Conley that personal service contracts and memorandum of agreements do not legally require a separate article on the town meeting warrant. That's per the Department of Revenue, that's per town council, and for the record, myself, the police chief, the fire chief, the DPW superintendent, anybody that has a personal service contract, well before I came here, there is no separate article. It is within the omnibus, and it is pointed out in the comments. If that is your reason not to approve the reclassifications, that is a disservice, because the funding is in the omnibus. In my presentation on Monday, I will point out that those cost impacts, as we always do. And both positions were reclassified in accordance, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, correctly. The Personnel Board voted them, the Board of Selectmen voted them, the memorandum of agreements are on the website as of tonight. And the reason I heard on April 20th and tonight to vote no or not recommend them, which is your purview, is that they require a warrant article. They don't. Misinformation, inaccurate information, and frankly, not a substantive reason not to put it forth. I can rest assured, as you know, Mr. Chairman, we'll debate it on the floor of town meeting, and I'm prepared to advocate, as the Board of Selectmen are, that those reclassifications are honored. The management support. At the April 20th meeting, there seemed to be great concern specifically about the position of this funding within the budget. First of all, to correct Ms. Conley, it's an administrative coordinator position. It was put under management support in the budget by the town accountant and I, where it is still transparent, it's not hidden, and we can debate till the cows come home whether it should be under X, Y, or Z. It's a semantic and nomenclature argument at best. Town meeting approved funding for a full-time building department at the annual town meeting of May 2014, and again in May of 2015 at the annual town meeting. The funding for the full-time building department, and this is never discussed at April 20th, and with the exception of you, Mr. Chairman, who have asked for clarification on this, and we'll talk about it at town meeting, why are we doing this? Never asked. The Board of Selectmen have heard continually over the last decade the need for a full-time building department. A big piece of that is the administrative support. In the summer of 2015, and you can check the public record, at the authorization of the Board of Selectmen, myself and Selectman Livingston worked on developing the administrative coordinator position. And I will present this at town meeting. We looked at best practices. We looked at the goal of providing a full-time administrative presence on the third floor that would support the building department, the planning board, conservation, economic development, Board of Health, parks, anybody. We are all here to work together. The Board of Selectmen approved the proposal and the presentation on November 17th of 2015 in a public meeting. The job description was negotiated with the ASME 93 union and approved in a memorandum of agreement on December 15th of 2015. At that same time, because the position would not be hired because we followed the process until March, the planning board approached the Board of Selectmen and said they wanted administrative support for the planning board. The Board of Selectmen honored that request by authorizing up to $5,000 to be used from UDAG up to June 30th of 2016 for the purposes of providing administrative support. We agreed that would be in the union, with the union. We hired internally. There was a qualified internal candidate. That is all memorialized in a memorandum of agreement from December 14th of 2015. The administrative coordinator position was hired in accordance with the ASME 93 contract, and the person was appointed the first Tuesday in March of 2016. All of this has been conducted in the public eye at the Board of Selectmen. It's all on the website at this point. It is a policy decision by the Board of Selectmen based on administrative input from me. It is transparent. The funding is in place. But that's not what you hear on April 20th. And the person you're hearing from hasn't asked me a question since she's been on the FinCom. And I've known her for 6 years. Now, she may have issues with some of the people I serve, but she could come see me anytime. No. Then the question comes up, well, why is the zoning board not covered under the administrative coordinator? And this gets to the ZBA stipend. And I apologize, Mr. Chairman, if I may say in my email to you, which I have no problem with the rest of the committee having because it's a public record, on April 5th, if I knew there was more explanation, I would have elaborated on it.
It's understandable.
As this body is aware, at the May 2014 annual town meeting, the people zeroed out the planning board and the zoning board. It put the town in a very difficult position. Following that, with high emotions, the majority of the zoning board of appeals resigned. The planning board was in transition. In July, I made the decision because regardless, and this is a key thing I know you appreciate, Mr. Chairman, yes, there's town meeting set on October and set in May, but the business of government and the needs of government don't just fall into that schedule. So when we have to act accordingly, which every town in the Commonwealth does, we do it transparently, professionally, and for the record, in 6 years I've been here, I have never had a member of the public banging down the door or appearing before the boards of selectmen crying transparency or what are you doing? In August, with approval and authorization from the Board of Selectmen, I made the administrative decision, which is my job, to have Ms. Antonellis provide the support to the Zoning Board of Appeals and fund the time that she did that out of the Board of Selectmen overtime account, because we needed a ZBA. The ZBA, as we went through 2014, Ms. Antonellis performed those functions of the highest caliber. She instituted an interdepartmental review system. She has gained the trust and confidence of the entire Zoning Board of Appeals as the board reappointed the board, which was not in existence in July. She had some experience with some of the aspects of zoning and took it upon herself at her own cost to take those certification courses as it pertains to ZBA, and has gone above and beyond all through 2014, and we funded it out of the overtime account from the BOS, as authorized by the Board of Selectmen, also reviewed by Town Council. When the FY16 budget came forth, I put into the budget, in the restructuring, a stipend for the Zoning Board of Appeals, which seemed to be of great issue on the 20th. Yet, for the record, nobody's asked me about that except you, Mr. Chairman. That stipend generates a savings from the previous structure that we had of approximately $9,000. The Zoning Board of Appeals stipend, and I want to clarify this because it's not characterized that on April 20th, the ZBA stipend was put under the BOS budget and approved by town meeting on Article 7 of the Omnibus on May 11th, 2015. There were all kinds of characterizations made on the 20th that this funding was somehow pulled out of the cloud or hidden or so forth. For the record, it's already been approved by town meeting through one cycle, and I've put it forward again. That reorganization and of that position is to put the Zoning Board of Appeals administrative support under the Board of Selectmen, which is their purview. It was done publicly. The ZBA is appointed by the Board of Selectmen. I know that, again, there was a lot of stretching on April 20th. The Board of Assessors was brought up. For the record, the Board of Assessors is an elected appellate board. This is an appointed appellate board. The Board of Assessors can do as they please in that sense. I offered my explanations to you, Mr. Hood, in the email. It was said, the comment was made by Ms. Conley, that I said that the town was doing it wrong since the 1970s. I never said that. I'm proposing a way to do things better in terms of customer service. And I asked you, and I challenged Ms. Conley to ask the building community, to ask the public. They are happy with this situation. We didn't just do it to do it. I did it to improve customer service. And I will defend it and support it and explain it as I did at the last town meeting, which some members here were not at, again, and it'll be up for town meeting to decide. It centralizes the ZBA under BOS. It had to get done. The interdepartmental review system is working. There are no overtime costs. The administrative coordinator position is in the union. This is out of the union, so there's no overtime impact. And the savings from how we did it prior is approximately $9,000. And frankly, as you know, Mr. Chair, the issue is the purview of the FinCom on that. Is if you want to debate the issue of the amount of the stipend is fair, but frankly, to discuss or to continue to characterize the policy decision is somewhat out of the scope. I'm almost done. The police. At the joint meeting of April 5th, the police chief was in attendance, and there is debate and disagreement on the proposal put forth. I know, Mr. Chairman, your concern is about sustainability, as it is for some others. I know you spoke to the chief. The chief won't say this, but again, Ms. Conley stated, public record, that the police chief did an end run. An end run. First of all, what does that mean, and why are we using that kind of language in a public forum about our police chief? The 111F retirement, if when approved, per the Board of Selectmen, will be filled with the appointment that was made the other night. The chief's proposal for FY17 is for 2 more police and for 2 more dispatchers, and I think that's pretty pretty clear. And I appreciate that the chairman talked to the police chief about that. On a positive note, Mr. Chairman, on April 19th, the Board of Selectmen reappointed me to a third term as the town administrator. And for those that are concerned about transparency, the contract is up on the website as we speak. The position, for those who are concerned about that, rides the new compensation plan. For those that are concerned, there's nothing added in it. It has been an honor to serve this town and to work with you for the last 6 years, and I look forward to the next 3 years, and I appreciate the board's confidence.
I don't know if I want to be here 3
But
years.
we have worked well together. However, over the last 18 months, and especially recently, is becoming increasingly strained for the reasons that I have brought up. And I get to the main point of the 20th that frankly is personally and professionally inappropriate of the highest level. At minute 40 on your April 20th meeting, Ms. Conley states publicly that I am preserving a stipend for a friend. And I do appreciate, Mr. Hood, Mr. Chair, your effort to caution her about the personal comments. I do appreciate that. But it did no good because Ms. Conley proceeds to not only assert that it's the truth, but that we were friends before I was hired. I did not realize that she's an expert on, well, claims to be an expert on everything, and now including my personal life. This is not only a lie, but it is professionally and personally insulting to me, but even more importantly to Ms. Antonellis. As a town administrator, it comes with the turf. I've taken shots from everybody. At times I do get heated. And Ms. Conley pointed that out on the 20th that you'd have to deal with my anger or air if I don't agree with something.
The direct quote was a battle royale.
A battle royale. So we're at the battle royale. But I'm human as well. But it is really insulting to Ms. Antonellis, which to my knowledge, Ms. Conley doesn't even know and has never even said hello to her. Nope. So I want to clear the record. Ms. Antonellis and I are professional colleagues and always have been. In 2005, I first met her. She worked for State Senator Jen Flanagan, who was the state rep at the time and became state senator. I was the chief of staff for Mayor Mylott. That's the extent of our relationship then. But your member says that we were friends before. The hiring process of Ms. Antonellis commenced from April through June of 2014. It was publicly advertised. Over 100 people applied. It is my authority through the Board of Selectmen to hire that position. We vetted the 100 down to 5, down to 3, conducted extensive interviews and reference checks. Ms. Antonellis was not hired because she's a personal friend of mine. She was hired because she's the most qualified candidate. She had 10 years of experience at the State House and the State Senate. She has prior municipal experience. She has a master's in public administration from the University of Massachusetts in Boston. She's an approved purchasing agent from the Inspector General's office. She has extensive experience throughout the region. And if you look behind her desk, there's a picture of the state capitol that is signed by every single member of the general court that holds her in the highest regard. I hired the best person, not a friend from before, not a friend now. And I take personal and professional insult to Ms. Conley's comments, especially after you, Mr. Chairman, warned her about it, that I was protecting a friend and that we were friends before, and this is all about friendship. The ZBA stipend issue is over 2 years old. Why has it become an issue in April of 20? And every issue is fair game at town meeting, and we'll debate it, fine. The decision was for customer service, to serve the community. It is endorsed by the Board of Selectmen. It has been endorsed by the Zoning Board of Appeals. They'll give her the highest accolades. Furthermore, I don't believe that Ms. Conley realizes that by characterizing that too, that she just got a stipend because she's my friend, that she didn't do any work. Let the record reflect that Ms. Antonellis has attended 2-3 ZBA meetings when needed a month, put together all the things I've mentioned, and continues to perform the work, and that should be recognized. In conclusion, the meeting of April 20th crossed all professional lines, and this remains a constant theme with this member of the Finance Committee. The comments and conduct was unbecoming of a public official and any decent person. They are not true, productive, or in the best interests of the town, and the town frankly deserves better. The situation has become disruptive to the government. The fact that I've put this much effort into this, I'm joined by the Board of Selectmen and department heads tonight. So in conclusion, though I have no authority to do so, but feel so strongly about what happened, I'm demanding a public apology to Ms. Antonellis from the Finance Committee, and specifically from Ms. Conley. And on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, the department heads and administration, consider this, and it may just be symbolic, a publicly filing of a formal complaint against your member, Ms. Conley, and respectfully requesting that she resign from the Finance Committee. And if she doesn't, given the seriousness of this and the danger of these issues and it ongoing issue, that the moderator, per his authority in statute, rescind her appointment to the Finance Committee. I am not going, as you won't either, Mr. Chairman, I know, I am not going to tolerate this kind of behavior anymore and moving forward. It is not in the spirit of government, it doesn't serve the town, and it is dangerous. I thank you, and I look forward to town meeting where everybody, regardless of where they stand on the issues, will debate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Ms. Conley, do you have anything to say in reply?
I prefer not to speak at this point. If I have something to say, it will be said at a later point.
Very well.
If we're going to have a formal complaint against me as an individual, I'd like to see it go through the formal channels.
Fair enough. So, on behalf of the Finance Committee, Mr. Pomprian and Ms. Antonellis, I do apologize for the conduct that occurred on the 20th. I apologize for the comments that came out of this body. And it just never should have happened, to be honest. So going through the meeting itself, I have listened and watched the meeting multiple times over the last week. And the tone over discussions about the treasurer budget, something that had not even happened. The management services, location within the budget, and just harping on that time and time again. The accusation of hiding money. The comment of having a battle royale with the town administrator is childish at best. On the ZBA, the direct quote is, trying to preserve a stipend for a friend we hired. I interjected with, don't be accusatory. Followed by, I'm making a potential suggestion that is the truth. There was a stipend to someone who was hired, who was a friend before they were hired. And when Mr. Pomprian and I spoke at a later time, I told him that I've had friends hired at companies because I believe in the work that they do. I don't know the intimacies of their relationship, how long they've known each other, etc. But I don't always look at that as a bad thing. I know Ms. Antonellis has done an excellent job. And finally, regarding to the police patrolman being appointed the night before, being called an end around, and at that point I tried to redirect you to have the objective discussion about the numbers, which you did not. In a direct quote, it is not criticism, it is fact when they don't tell us the truth, and that is your direct quote during the meeting. I'll be honest, you have, I think, really damaged the reputation of this committee, and you're at a point where you're taking my personal reputation that I have spent 7.5 years building in this town with it, and I am going to ask you to resign at the end of this meeting. If you do not offer your resignation after this meeting ends, I'll be reaching out to the town moderator and request that he rescind your appointment effective immediately. Do I make myself clear?
Absolutely.
Do you have anything to say at this point in time?
Again, I think I will reserve comment. However, I will say, as far as a general comment, everybody has a right, and I said this at the April 20th meeting, but no one has said that I've heard, to their opinion on a subject. When we were discussing last meeting, you said you were a numbers man, and my response to that was, I look at the facts as well, because the facts support the numbers.
But you didn't offer facts.
Okay. I'll reserve all other comment. If I can't speak without interruption, I won't speak.
Sorry, I apologize.
Nope,
I'll let
it's
you
fine.
speak.
Let's finish the meeting.
Very well. Okay. Moving on to mail, very quickly, we have our budget items. We have something from MMA, and then we had the reserve fund transfer from the benefits manager. For MMA, we have Associated Town Finance Committees. There's a workshop on Thursday, May 5th, if anyone can make it. May 12th and May 19th. Planning and making professional presentations at town meeting, building and capital planner, managing their debt and credit. And that's all we had for mail. Moving on to minutes. We have minutes for January 27, 2016 and February 3rd, 2016 presented for approval. And I gave them a quick once over. They looked fine. You wrote them, but Marion, if you want to peruse. Any issues? No? Can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of January 27th, 2016 and February 3rd. Or do we need to do them separately?
No.
February 3rd, 2016.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair says aye. Nothing. All right, very quickly, 5-year budget model still on the to-do list. No committee updates. By board has not met. FinCom roundtable, I don't have anything. Members have anything to discuss?
I do not.
Okay. Upcoming schedule, May 9th is town meeting, 7 o'clock at the high school. Next regular scheduled finance committee meeting will be Wednesday, May 25th, 2016, pending quorum. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at, I apologize when I say that, 8:10 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.